Have you ever stopped to think about the power that emotions have over our lives? In a world full of feelings, how do we deal with the emotional swings that sometimes seem uncontrollable? Imagine a life where every emotion, every thought is like a current trying to drag us down. Without proper management of our emotions, how can we navigate this ocean of feelings? Uncontrolled emotions are like waves that drown us, dragging us into unknown depths. A bad day at work, an argument with a loved one, or even the pressure of everyday life. These are common factors that trigger an emotional storm. Without a safe harbor, these emotions can turn into hurricanes, affecting not only our minds, but also our physical health and our relationships. A lack of emotional intelligence leaves us adrift, susceptible to being carried away by any emotional current that comes our way. It's like being on a fragile boat without oars, at the mercy of emotional storms. Without this internal compass, we get lost in the tumultuous seas of anxiety, fear, and uncertainty. So today, we're going to explore the secrets to becoming emotionally invincible. It will be a deep dive into understanding yourself, discovering authenticity, and controlling your own emotions. We will explore not only the how, but also the why of emotional intelligence being the master key to a fulfilling life. A journey that transcends mere emotional management. It's a search for true inner freedom. Think of the feeling of being constantly anxious, as if you had lost your ground. The weight of fear, that feeling that paralyzes, preventing any movement. Every thought, every situation seems like an imminent threat, like a gray cloud hanging over everything. Consider someone who faces constant pressure in the workplace. A lack of emotional intelligence can lead to anxiety, impairing performance and affecting mental health. Or think of that moment of frustration in traffic when anger arises uncontrollably, obscuring reason. We often try to run away from uncomfortable emotions, but I believe that resisting only prolongs the emotional storm. It's like trying to hold back a river with our hands. It's impossible. In the same way, emotions flow, and it's our role to accept them. How many times do we get lost in thoughts that judge our emotions as good or bad? I shouldn't feel this way, we think. But do emotions have labels? I don't think so. They are like the weather, constantly changing. But by accepting this change without judgment, we begin to disarm the power that emotions have over us. For example, think of a moment when anxiety starts to arise. Instead of fighting it, take a deep breath and allow yourself to feel the anxiety. Acknowledge the sensation in your body, without judgment. Anxiety is like a wave. It comes and goes. Now compare that to resistance, which would be like trying to hold back that wave, exhausting and, in the end, ineffective. After all, what is the origin of this resistance? What if, instead of fighting the emotional waves, we could surf them? Believe me, to feel is to live. Now that we've begun to discover the power of feeling without resistance, let's deepen our exploration so that we can explore emotional intelligence even more. Understanding the importance of feeling and not resisting emotions is like unlocking an ancient secret to a fuller life. When we resist, we create invisible chains that bind us, limiting the genuine expression of who we are. Resistance to emotions is like denying your own existence. Imagine the weight of carrying a backpack full of stones. Each unacknowledged emotion is an added stone. And it is when we observe without judgment that we begin to lighten this burden. So try to see emotions not as enemies, but as messengers, bringing signs about our inner state. Emotional resistance is like building walls around your heart. When we close ourselves off to certain emotions, we also close ourselves off to deep and authentic experiences. For example, when we resist sadness, we don't allow healing to take place. When we resist fear, we don't explore new horizons. It's like living in a monochrome world, missing out on the richness of emotional colors. Instead of allowing ourselves to cry and release the pain, for example, we engage in constant activities to avoid confronting the emotion. This resistance, although it initially seems protective, creates a cycle of repressed emotions that will, eventually, manifest in unwanted ways, such as constant irritability or insomnia. If we don't allow ourselves to feel and express these emotions in a healthy way, they can turn into resentment, damaging relationships and undermining our inner peace. It's like a pressure that eventually builds up until it explodes, causing damage. This resistance even affects our relationships, because sometimes, for fear of being vulnerable, we resist love. This can create emotional barriers, preventing genuine connection with others. And so we lose the opportunity to connect in an authentic and profound way. So from that moment on, try to reflect on your emotions. What emotions could you be avoiding? And what emotional treasures could you be losing by resisting? To do this, try to imagine yourself as a serene observer of your emotions, without the need for judgment. The practice of observing, without judgment, is where we find true understanding of ourselves. Observing without judgment brings about a change of perspective that invites us to explore the complexities of our inner selves. How often do we interpret our emotions in a preconceived way, without allowing ourselves to see beyond appearances? Normally, we can react automatically, allowing frustration to take over. But when we adopt a posture of observer, analyzing the situation without getting caught up in the waves of stress, we begin to see beyond the surface of our emotions, identifying underlying patterns and motivations. Sometimes there are situations in which we receive constructive feedback. Our automatic reaction can be defensive, accompanied by feelings of inadequacy. As a curious observer of your inner state, you can analyze these emotions, understanding that feedback is not personal criticism but an opportunity for growth. So remember, observation not only allows us to understand our emotions, it also brings us closer to authenticity. As we move forward on our journey towards emotional invincibility, we come across an extraordinary tool: meditation. As I said in the previous video, meditation is a journey to the center of oneself. It's a conscious pause in the midst of the hustle and bustle of everyday life, an opportunity to reconnect with yourself. Meditation is a practice accessible to everyone. It doesn't require special skills, nor does it require us to reach specific states. In fact, it's with it that we can also reach certain states of being. It's a simple practice that offers countless benefits for the mind, body, and of course, our emotional journey. So, try to find a comfortable place to sit and gently close your eyes. At that moment, just concentrate on your breathing. Inhale deeply, feeling the air fill your lungs. Then exhale, releasing any accumulated tension. Continue to breathe gently, focusing only on your breathing. If your mind wanders, don't worry. Gently bring it back to the peaceful rhythm of your breathing. Here, in the stillness of the present moment, we begin to unlock the power of meditation. If this isn't a daily practice for you, try starting with just a few minutes a day. Meditation is a very powerful practice indeed. It's a moment when we open up to a deeper understanding of our emotions. It's a practice that doesn't require us to silence our minds completely. On the contrary, it invites us to accept our thoughts and emotions, observing them without attachment. The benefits of meditation go beyond momentary tranquility. The positive effects are diverse, such as reducing stress, improving focus, and promoting general well-being. By integrating meditation into our journey, we create an internal space to welcome our emotions with serenity, transforming the way we respond to life's challenges. I say this from the bottom of my heart, because meditation is the practice that helps me the most at various times in my life. Whether in moments of anxiety, sadness, or joy, meditation is always present in my routine. It's a way in which I find comfort, peace, tranquility, acceptance, clarity, and total connection with myself. So, if it makes sense to you, try practicing meditation in your daily routine. I believe that meditation is a journey of liberation, an opportunity to let go of the stories we have built up about ourselves. These stories, often based on past experiences, shape our perception of the present and the future. But it is through meditation that we break through these limiting narratives. I'm really passionate about this practice, and I even believe it's one that invites us to an authentic search, a courageous exploration of the inner self. Because in our busy lives, we often lose ourselves in predetermined roles, trying to live up to external expectations. It is precisely when we distance ourselves from self-imposed narratives that we discover an inner freedom that goes beyond the bonds of the past. And meditation is the key to such detachment. So, during meditation, allow yourself to observe the stories that arise in your mind. Perhaps it's a painful memory or a future worry. But instead of getting caught up in these stories, see them as passing clouds in the sky of your consciousness. And with this detached perspective, you free yourself from the emotional ties that these stories hold over you. Taking control of our emotions is not just a choice, but a journey of self-discovery. The first step on this journey is to deepen our conscious perception. It's common to believe that our emotions are dictated by external circumstances. However, the real key to emotional responsibility lies in understanding that our emotions are guided by our perception of those circumstances. I believe that with this perspective, we realize that we have the power to reinterpret our experiences, to see them through different eyes. For example, think of a situation in which something doesn't go according to plan. The initial reaction might be frustration or disappointment. Now, let's view that same situation through a different lens, a lens of understanding and acceptance. When we change our perception, we instantly change the emotional charge associated with the situation. Emotional responsibility can be considered synonymous with freedom. It involves the freedom not to be held hostage by reactive emotions, but to be the conscious architect of our emotional responses. By understanding that we are the narrators of our emotional stories, we gain the power to transform even the most challenging chapters. Even when we feel sad after a situation that didn't turn out as we had hoped, instead of sinking into that emotion, we can explore the situation from a broader perspective. This change in perception can not only alleviate sadness, but also put us in the driving seat of our emotions. For it's not about eliminating all of life's challenges, but rather about how we choose to respond to them. I know there are situations that sometimes seem insurmountable or even terrible, but I believe that somehow we can get something good out of it. As I always say, all our experiences, whether good or bad, serve to help us grow and evolve. So, even if it seems impossible, try to adjust your perspective on the situation. Try to see and extract the best you can from it. As we go deeper into the heart of emotional responsibility, we discover that emotional invincibility is a celebration of authenticity. For being true to yourself is more than a choice. It is an act of liberation. Emotional invincibility arises when we allow ourselves to be authentic without fear of external judgment. It's a journey towards inner freedom. It's letting go of the bonds of other people's expectations, abandoning the need to be who others want us to be. This freedom is not conditioned by external circumstances. It is an internal conquest, a conquest of the soul. It means embracing all our emotional responsibility with an open heart, because when we are authentic, we don't run away from our emotions. On the contrary, we accept them as intrinsic parts of our being. It's a celebration of all the nuances that make up our emotional experience. But I'd like you to remember that this journey doesn't have a final destination, but rather a constant evolution, a daily commitment to ourselves. As I said in the previous video, it's essential to love and care for ourselves, always and forever. So be patient with yourself, analyze yourself with care and attention. So today, I invite each of you to reflect on the true nature of emotional invincibility. It is within us, waiting to be recognized. And when we look within, we find a vast terrain of wisdom, compassion, and strength. Remember, emotions are not enemies to be avoided, but allies to be understood. I hope that this journey has lit a light within you, a light of authenticity, understanding, and acceptance, and that with every breath, every moment of observation, every conscious choice, you build the foundations of your emotional invincibility. Thank you for embarking on this journey with me. If this video resonated with you, I invite you to like and subscribe to our channel. Share this video with others so they can benefit from this message. And don't forget to leave a comment below sharing your thoughts, reflections, and experiences. Thanks again for watching and for joining me. Take care and see you soon.